Welcome back, everybody. Episode 15. We have been here together fighting in the trenches for quite a while now. I'm so happy that we're doing this again. And honestly, I know it's a little bit of a shock going 15 episodes, video, random nights of the week, zero consistency. When do we have it? Because, I think I used to have you guys on just Wednesdays and Saturdays. Saturdays used to just be Saturdays, and we will get back to that. But right now, I think I'm just focused on getting as much out there as possible for you guys and giving you as much daily life as you can. So, to dive right into it, this weekend coming up, I have both of my kids, which means my daughter Avery, who doesn't get as much airtime as Sienna because I see her every Thursday and then every other weekend. So, it's a little bit less time with her, but in no place does she hold second place in my heart. I mean, those girls are tied dead even. If you have kids, multiple kids, there's no more favorites to kids as there is, having a favorite cereal. I love Captain Crunch and Reese's Puffs equally. And I just happen to have them on different days. But this weekend we've got them on the same day, so that's going to be pretty cool. I think what we're going to do today, we're going to make a little fire outside. The weather's getting nicer. This is kind of where fall comes back, and it's like cold, but it's warm if the sun is out. So we're going to do that this weekend. I think that's kind of our plan. Lots of outdoor time until Sunday when it's supposed to rain, but yeah, I mean, my lifestyle again, guys, it's just not. I think I struggle with ChatGPT because we talk and I'm like, I don't think anybody wants to listen to this. This is just, I'm just talking about my daily life. But for some reason, to give you guys some advice, user engagement. When people watch the daily life videos, I get like thousands of views on those. And if I post like me trying to be funny, I get like 200. And then like some gossip being like, is he okay, is he all right? And and yeah, so we'll say to any of my aspiring people, I did have one person at work, and I don't know, she's just being nice. Nazia, you're really nice. But she said she wanted to start her own podcast. So that is something that I hope I'm inspiring some people to go off and do their own things, and let that creative side flow, because I just think I was so focused on how to start a podcast to get famous, and that if I could be famous, everything would be easier. Because I think my mind and fame goes kind of hand in hand with ease, and that's kind of human nature. We want the downhill slope. We don't want the uphill fight all the time. Like if we can pick a downwards path, I learned that a lot. That human beings will naturally walk the downward slope. They won't. They don't want the uphill battle, So being famous, getting coffee paid for, like all these things, you walk around and people are like, oh, we'll pay for that. We'll send you some gifts. I want that. I want that. Do I want everybody running up to me, the autographs and all? No, not really. Does anybody? But anyway, to digress. I'm trying to make some episodes where they're more informative, because I think that's the content people like to see. They want to see information, and they want to see daily life. So I'm going to try to mix the two. So again, for those of you who don't know me, I am a 30-year-old business owner. I am a husband. I am a father of two beautiful children. And that's my brand, I guess. That's my box where they pigeonhole you. No, it's a beautiful box to be in. Lovely, lovely box. And if you want to, business, the thing is, I feel bad because if I did a business podcast, I feel like we could talk about business all day long. Like I could be very informative. So maybe we'll do a business podcast. We'll do one where it's strictly about business, numbers, how to get engagement, how to train people. But I'm going to give you a sales tip of the day. So sales tip of the day is being positive. And for some people, for most people, you have a life. So your life isn't going to be positive all the time. You're going to deal with stress. But one thing that I found in our business, which is staffing, putting people to work, and right now that's a hot topic because there's a lot of people who are struggling and looking for jobs and getting laid off. And the word uncertainty is being brought in. But I'm here to tell you that the way I sell, I'm very organic. I don't give a shit about business. I don't care about the numbers. I'm not looking at the the costs. I don't go into that. I don't, my thing is connecting with people, because I learned at a really young age that if you can just connect with human beings, if you can get in under their skin, if you can, find out where they come from, what their story is, and make them feel heard. Like, I was a straight D student most of my life. I only passed classes because of my people skills. And people are like, oh, like, they frowned upon it. But, looking back, soft skills in today's market, that's one of the hardest things to find, is people that can listen, that can be nice, that can interact and just be kind of normal. So I used to have to, like, for example, I remember, like, I knew I wasn't going to do the homework. I had made the decision early on in life that I wasn't going to do the homework. And this is relating to business. So don't think I'm tangenting here. This is completely coherent. In sales, the reason people pick a sales job is because I was always taught, by my mother, that salespeople are inherently lazy. They want to take the shortest route from point A to point B, clock in, clock out, do the least amount of work that they have to do, but make the most amount of money. But like in any profession, especially in TikToking or podcasting, anything you do that you want to be successful in, it takes a lot of work. So for me, in doing sales, you have to kind of work certain angles, like with going back to being a D student, and I talk about this all the time, but I had to know Miss Brittle, like my high school history teacher. I had to know where she came from, like that she was Irish, and how many siblings she had, and where she, how could we relate? Because in some of these topics, I'm not going to relate to you. Like, I'm not doing the homework, so that's out. Like, I'm not doing the assignments, that's out. So it's compromise at this point. Where can we find some middle ground where I can still pass this class, accomplish my goal, help you accomplish your goal of getting, students to care, so I cared a little bit about the assignment when she cared about the assignment. Like, if she cared about the lesson being done, I cared about the lesson being done. And, or at least certain points of it, to where it's like, hey, look, I didn't do the homework last night, but I really loved what you had to say. I think the way you said it. So it's a lot of schmoozing, buttering the other person up is a big tool. But bringing that back to sales, my clients need somebody right away. And my job is to get them staffed up, make sure the person is decent, make sure they don't look like a bum, make sure, it's like, with all lines of discrimination, make sure that, like, everybody is good, and make sure there's no huge red flags, that if they're asking for somebody with a certificate, we got to get them somebody with a certificate. If they're asking for a certain number, anyway. But you'd be surprised how little we actually talk about work. Like, that is a 15-second conversation. Most of my conversations are about their kids, or about their boss, or about where their company is going, or about, we spend 30 or 40 minutes talking about each other's lives. So I find that in sales, if you want to make money, you have to hone in on your soft skills, your people skills. Because at the end of the day, we're a country of men, a country of women and men, not laws. Like, the laws we make govern, but, at the end of the day, if you could win the room, you can do a lot. Give you another example. My history professor in college, I majored in history. He was always, really thrilled with me as a student, just because I cared. I genuinely cared about him, the person, the lesson, because I know I needed to keep that in my back pocket if I'm going to pass this class, But where we had a contest, and it was like, we all had to read 30 pages or whatever, and whoever could give the best oral presentation on it would get $100. And I was like, okay, I don't need to freaking read this. Like, I just need to give the best presentation. So I got the Cliff Notes. I had to understand what the theory was, and I knew that I had to make the room like me and make the room believe that I knew enough to pass. Not bullshit completely, but yes, lots of bullshitting, laying it on thick, getting the class involved, and going over and, like, making certain people in the room laugh, or relating it back to their lives. I have no clue what it was about. Something about, like, the Civil War, or, like, the triage system. So anyway, I get in there and I fucking rock it. I give the best presentation ever. I take it super seriously. The very minimal that I learned about it. But, you know, it was the fact that I had everybody laughing and I had everybody kind of going with me. And then I ended it strong and I ended up winning the money. And he's like, comes over to me, gives me the money in the class. He's like, always afraid of people like you. And I'm like, dude, just give me my money, you know, because I knew that the goal was to win the room. That's what the assignment was, you know. So if people had to vote for me at the end of the assignment, all I had to do was get those votes. I didn't have to understand the assignment. So was it my fault or with the person who's made the assignment? I don't know that, you know, but that was kind of a little tidbit on sales. My background in terms of money, if you want to vet me, at one point I was, you know, a W-2ing about $400,000 a year in straight commission. I had, I think, maybe 40, 45 people working for me to do that under my belt, multiple different contracts. And again, not one of these were people that I had like, you know, I worked really hard. At that point, you are working your ass off, but it's in different ways. Like, I'm trying to make the customer happy at all times. I'm trying to, like, you know, I'm spinning different plates. I'm making sure that the candidate is happy, the recruiter is happy, the job is being sold. And, you know, again, it sounds like a lot, but it really, it's all about knowing people, you know, I think at its root. So to go off that, that's pretty much my day so far, you know. So doing sales in that capacity, um, it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. Yeah, what do you guys want to hear? I mean, do you want to hear more sales stories? Because I could probably go into this all day long. Um, you know, and I'm hearing, yeah. By the way, if you're watching this on video, it was way too fucking hot in here. These lights are blinding. That's another thing with the production team that we've got to work out, is how to get this where I actually enjoy the lighting better, because right now I'm just not a big fan of it. You know, I get hot, I get sweaty, but yeah. Uh, if you guys are interested in starting in sales, which I don't think a lot of my viewers are yet to be in sales, but you know, these tips are helpful in life. You know, last time we talked a lot about the power of silence, and whoever speaks first loses. That is a real tip. Sure, you've seen that in the Wolf of Wall Street, but it's actually, you know, it's an honest thing. But yeah, I mean, I would just say getting to know people and caring about them, that helps you in so many different ways. And you know what recently started happening is, like, the less I cared about closing the deal, I started closing a lot more deals. So if you want to be in sales, you have to care, but you have to not care. You have to be under pressure, but you're not allowed to feel the pressure. So I think that's where the contradiction comes in. A lot of people can't do it. A lot of people can't do it. I know that because I've hired a lot of them. I've hired a lot of people who come in and out, and they start off the same way. Yeah, yeah, I want to do this. I'm so excited. Like, yes, I'm a salesperson through and through. But, like, motivation is a cruel mistress. It's fleeting. It's bullshit. Motivation is not real. Like, motivation is a piece of the puzzle, but motivation doesn't get you through minute to minute. It doesn't get you through 136 cold calls. It doesn't. Motivation is fucking. That's fucking. People, like, I think that's where we get lost in these TikTok videos, is David Goggins, you fucking pussy. Like, you're just a bitch. Like, that type of thing is not real. It's fuck motivation. Like, this is your job, motherfucker. Like, you have to do a good job or you lose your house. Like, there's nothing, there's no choice at some point, you know. And you know, I just think it's like, if you're going to show up every day, you might as well just work your ass off, you know, most of the time that you're there. You know, I'm not the type of person to take, I try not to take a lot of days off, especially in the beginning of the year. So, I mean, I don't buy into burnout. I don't buy into, like, you know, you're overstressed. I just think it's all part of the game. It's all part of the hustle. Like, you know, and it's whatever you want to, whatever life you're trying to build for yourself. Motivation is nothing. I mean, the motivation, like, I'm not motivated to get up and make 100 cold calls. Like, I get up and I go and do my job because I have self-respect and, I want to live in a nice house that I can afford. I want, to drive whatever I want. I want fuck you money, where it's mine, so it's just, motivation, purpose. Don't know if they're the same word. I think it's just discipline, I guess. You have to force yourself to do the things that you don't want to do. And that's when I think you get the real breakthrough in your life, is when you stop looking for motivation and just start doing it. It's just do it, like Nike. Like, that's just how it is. It sucks. I think I was trying to be taught that lesson a lot, and it is what it is. So I hope my mic is on because it doesn't look like it's recording. Hello, hello. Okay, we're on. Mic is on. Whew. But yeah, motivation is not real. I mean, motivation doesn't take you through life. It's just, for example, like, am I motivated to get up and change my daughter's diaper? Like, no, but like, who else is going to fucking do it? Like, my wife will do it a lot. So that's nice. Yeah, that's one great thing about my wife. Not to tangent, sorry guys, but she is such a good mom that, like, she actually likes, I don't think, it's not like doing it, but like, again, same thing. I don't think she's motivated to change her baby's diaper. It's just like, who else is going to do it? Alex is asleep. He's not going to, no, but that's how it is in life. It's just like, stop looking at your life as something that, I want to be motivated, then I'll begin. It's just like, just start doing it. Just start doing it. And that's when the success comes. Like, for the longest time in sales recently, up until this year, I refused to do the work to make the 100 calls, to make, 2.5 hours. I wanted to be like my buddy Josh or Ron. They're these salespeople who do well for themselves, up to a point, but they make 7 calls a day, 15 calls a day. They don't listen to this podcast, so I'm not really worried about me hearing them. But I mean, part of it's impressive. They can do 7 calls a day and maintain, $300,000 to $400,000 income, and that's good. But 7 won't take you to $1 million. Just won't. It won't. Like, I know that. Like, if they could get their 7 calls a day to maybe 21 calls a day, like, imagine what they could do, But I was always very jealous of that, just like I was with remote workers for a while, like my buddies, like Ryan and Joel, or like people that like, kind of have these like easier, in my opinion, just different type of jobs where it's like they didn't have to, they weren't expected to do like this unimaginable output constantly. Like, it's like capitalism. Like, sales in my job is just capitalism. Like, more is more is more. Like, there is no stop. There is no peak. There's no plateau. It's like you're a shark. If you stop moving, you die. So I think, in my opinion, like, I was very jealous of my other salespeople that grew up in my class, like my graduating class of sales, who I just felt like, I'm like, were they more talented than I was, that they don't have to do as much, to get like a similar result, and I stopped fighting that, and I just started doing the work, and I was like, because the motivation every day wasn't there. Like, I didn't have it. Like, I wasn't motivated to go in and do my job and do this. So it was like, this year I told myself, I'm like, look, we're going to get back to old school when we first started in sales, real renaissance of just do the fucking work, make the 100 calls, be happy, put a big smile on your face, get the customers to buy from you. And if they don't, fuck them, they're not interested. And like, everything has started to come through. But it's because I got off that rock of motivation. Like, I stopped waiting for my lifeboat to come and save me. I stopped waiting for it to get easier. Much like with TikToking and, again, podcasting, like, just stop fucking waiting. Like, what are you doing? Like, go enjoy, go just start doing it. Start doing it. If you like to do it, do it. Like, I like to make money, so I do sales. I like to yap and do podcasts, so I'm doing podcasts now. If the mega mansions and the fame and everything comes with it at the end of it all, that's why we started. So, we got our result one way or another, but I'm just focused right now on having fun with it. Because last night, dudes, I sat down here in front of this mic for half an hour, and I was like, I was fucking with the camera. I was sweaty. I look like 500 pounds on camera. I actually look pretty good right now, baby girl. But I think this is a good angle on video too because my feet aren't in it. My little wigglies were wiggling back and forth, but yeah, guys, I just want I want us to come together as a country moving forward. I want us to be unified. I want the message to stay positive, and um, that's where I started this podcast tonight or today was, just about being positive. Like everybody's afraid, everybody's making decisions based on fear. It seems, and if you can just convince this person and that person to just come a little bit closer and just stop being so afraid of what could happen if things go wrong, that's your job as a salesperson. Like, eliminate the fear, eliminate the doubt by not talking about it. By, oh, hey, let's say, for example, the candidate gets an offer at, this happens all the time. The candidate gets an offer a little bit less than what's expected, and it's our job to either get the client. I can't really tell the client to an extent. I'm like, hey, he's not going to want that, but the client has a budget. They're like, well, I can't pay him 200K. I can give him 190. So it's my job to flip that with the candidate. So what I do is I'm like, oh, well, okay, the negatives are real. They are going to be paid less. They're not going to receive benefits on contracts. So what's my tool here? My only tool is my positivity, my voice. I hopefully know a couple things about the candidate by then. So I'm like, hey, Bob, how are you? Yeah, it's Alex. Hey, congratulations, man. They're making you the offer. And he's like, fuck yeah. I was like, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. So, they're going to do 190, but they're really excited to have you on board. And he's like, 190? We discussed 200. I'm like, yeah, no, I completely understand. But anyway, once they roll you over perm, it's going to be, it's going to be great. I'm really excited. Here's a link to their website. And they're like, whoa. But can we go back to the 190? I'm like, yeah, no, I completely understand. That's just all they're budgeted for right now. And then it's a little bit of silence on the phone, which I have fun with. And then he's like, okay, understood. They take it. But where people fumble, and I watch other salespeople fumble, I fumbled this all the time, is when they're like, hey, Bob, it's Alex. So here's the thing. And the candidate's like, yeah, what's the thing? I couldn't get, they want you at 190. The candidate's like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to talk to my wife about this. I don't know if that's gonna work for me. So automatically you brought it in like it's something scary. It's a negative. You're putting it in their head like maybe they could get something better if they went with a different agency or something. So you bring in any negative tone, you're already shooting yourself in the foot. So I would say just try to keep it positive, especially in the economy. If you have friends that are telling you that it's really scary out there, be like, hey, I get it, but look at you, you're doing great. Just don't worry about it. Like, keep moving forward. Move the conversation along, because as we get into these, like, it can really weigh on you. I went on this client visit yesterday, and lovely lady. I haven't seen her in 3 or 4 years. They were our first client. Like, when I had first opened my company 5 years ago, right after the pandemic. I don't know who the fuck said this was a good idea. It's the pandemic. It's a great time to start a company. And it was. Looking back, our competitors were knocked down. Aerotech, Randstad, like all these fucking pussies went and worked from home. So, not pussies. You're not pussies. But no, they all worked from home for, they stayed at home. So when you're at home, you're not selling like I am in office. I'm fucking 3 months later, I start the company after the pandemic hits. We're in a shared suite. I'm dialing my ass off. I'm making 180, 200 outbound phone calls. I'm on the phone 3 or 4 hours a day. Zero to show for it. I'm scared shitless. I'm like, damn, I'd worked for my parents' company before. I was like, yes, I was on commission, but also, maybe I wasn't that good at sales. All that doubt was creeping in. But 2 months in, I think it was a month and a half in, talked to this lady who I'd known before. I was like, hey, I've never worked with you personally, but I would love a chance at earning your business. Like, what do I have to do? Like, what is it going to take? And she's like, hey, you know what? I'll meet with you for lunch, because she knew I was young. She knew I was 25. She knew I had a kid already, and she knew that she saw it more as like helping me in a way. So she met with me. We had a conversation, and then she's like, look, in a couple weeks, I'm going to have something. I'm like, fuck, a couple weeks? I'm like, I'm going to go out of business in a couple weeks. But no, she thankfully says, here, we have 20 positions. We just got awarded. It's a contract supporting FEMA, blah, blah, blah. So boom, get these help desk positions, good spreads. but they can barely make it. I can barely make any money off them. There's like, we have to pay Johnny $20. The client's only asking us $29 bill rate, so it's like a $9 markup. I have to pay the recruiter something out of that. I got to pay myself. I got to pay the rent. I got to pay the job boards. So at the end of the day, you make like like a little penny from the person, but the revenue looks good. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue, but you can make very little profit from that. So, that was our first client, our first big client, and saved my business. We were soaring from there. It bought me more time to go out and get more clients, more revenue. So that was kind of the leap in myself. And again, this is a time where nobody was working. Like people, like you think it's scary now. Go back 5 years ago. Go back fucking 5 years ago, buddy.
Hey, Alex. Are you watching the news? It's a pandemic. Nobody's hiring.
It's like, you try being positive during that time. So if I made it through that time, I'm 5 years later, I'm like, we can make it through this fucking Donald Trump guy. Like, we'll go right through it. And surprisingly, we're having a record March. Like I haven't had this good of March in like 3 or 4 years. So I don't buy the news. I just like, you're laying people off. Like there's nobody's like, but people are getting hired still. So the layoffs can be true, but so can people be hiring, so anyway, that was my first customer. I had lunch with her yesterday or 2 days ago. I don't remember when it was. I was so jazzed up because we are forming the Avengers. Me and her and another customer who owns an 8A that I've been working with for like 5 or 10 years. We're all going in on kind of a joint venture together. We're going to bid on a government contract. I'm going to be a prime. They're going to be a prime. We're going to go in as 2 different primes. And I think the work share is not going to be in my favor. It'll be probably like a 60-40% split on work share, but I don't give a fuck. If we win a fucking $200 million contract and I get 40% of that, I can take it all day long. I'm 30 years old. If I start there, I want to be a billionaire. I want my name on a building. Like I drive by buildings, and this is where you and I might differ. I'm driving along and I see a building and I see a big name on it. I used to get mad. I used to get so fucking pissed off. I'm like, why do they get to put their motherfucking name up there and not my name, my company's name? So that's my goal. I mean, I have a huge ego. So, I mean, putting my name on a building would be great. Not my name personally, but my company's name or a company that I work with's name I own. As long as I own it and it's on the building, it's going to be huge. It'll be the biggest name on a building you've ever seen. So, yeah, that's where I'm going. Anyway, we had a great lunch, except she brought me down not because she was in a bad mood, not because I was in a bad mood, but we were both really happy, but we ended up talking about the state of the world. And I was so sad yesterday when I came. I was happy about where the business is going. Me and her made a great deal. We made a great deal. The art of the deal. We made the best deal. The best deal you've ever seen. I've made the deal. I know the deal. I'm the art of the deal. But no, we made a good deal. However, we're talking about the world and like, she's very conservative. So, I could see the same rhetoric, like, the Bidens are crazy and, everything. And I understand, because I watch the liberal side of the news. So it's like in return, we're like, oh, well, those guys are crazy. And I'm like, it's just such division on both sides, to hate the other side. It's like, I feel like this is the closest we've come to a civil war in a long time, but it's not going to be a civil war, as much as it is like just civil unrest this time around. We're not going to go to the war north and south. It's not going to look like that. But Trump, we gave a speech a couple nights ago where he said, I think it was like right after the election, that all of the states along the border of Texas had voted as one. They all voted red or whatever. And he said that hasn't happened since right before the Civil War. And again, I don't think he meant to say it like that, but or meant that, he was giving away that the country is so divided that the last time those states voted together was the Civil War, and to get all red down the line. Who knows if that's even fucking true? We could be making this data up, but this country's divided. We have cracks, deep cracks. I think the conservatives are generally seem to be worried about the insolvency of our country. And that's a real thing, sure. Like Elon brings it up, but like, guys, we print money. Like, don't worry. Don't worry. Like, America's got us. Like, we saved everybody during World War II, from becoming, like dictatorships, and we stepped in, we saved everybody. It cost a lot of money, and then after that, for the past couple of years, I mean, they're partly right. We've been spending a ton of money on world peace, and getting little in return for it, other than their oil when we go to war with them. Um, but it's not gonna. We're not going to turn insolvent. The dollar's not going to crash, and even if it does, unfortunately, what's going to happen? We're going to go to war with somebody, and we're going to say, "Oh, you're not going to fucking help us. We're going to fucking take it." And that's just the way history works. That's, if you look back, you cut off Japan's oil during World War II, which is what we did to Japan. What'd they do? December 7th, 1941. So they attacked us. So America's going to be okay in the long run, but does feel like something's brewing. Feels like the precipice of war. I just hope it's not with Canada or Mexico, or hope it's not with our allies. Like, one more historical fact before I leave you guys: the Canadians were the most revered fighters in World War I and World War II. You cannot go 50 feet in Europe without going by a Canadian monument, even when we were involved. The Canadians are some of the toughest, baddest motherfuckers ever, and they're big. They're tall, big fucking trees, and they live in cold. If you think of Game of Thrones, the people in the North, I mean, they're like that for a reason. Like, they grew up, it's Vikings, that culture, and the Germanic people, like, there is a real thing about that. Like, they grew up in such harsh conditions, like evolutionary. They have these different fierce, like, their bodies are different. They're used to adapting differently. Same thing with Canadians up north. We don't want no piece of that. I mean, America, we're tough and badass and strategic, but, like, those are our fucking buddies up there. Let's keep them out of this. That's what I say. So anyway, we're in the middle of a trade war, tariff war. Is that going to get better? Don't know. But I'm gonna get mine. I'm gonna protect my assets, my shit. We've come up with an escape plan. We've got water, food, getting a weapon. Hey, Dad, I gotta borrow a gun. But no, I mean, we live right off of we've kind of mapped out if something were to happen, and if America were to be attacked, or if something was somewhere, like, if there was a blackout or a cybersecurity attack, and we both would plan to go to the daycare. We'd both go pick up the kid. If the kid was already gone, we'd assume one of us had it. We have a rally point on the map. And you can ask ChatGPT about this. Here's the thing: on my meeting the other day, my client pulled money out of the banks. My mother has done that. They're both very significantly, independently wealthy people. And to see them doing that, it did scare me a bit. So I came home and I was like, we need to pull money out of the banks just in case, the dollar does go in, so we do become insolvent as a country, or something where we would need cash. So I want to advise people, don't be afraid. ChatGPT says, don't be afraid, but might as well be prepared, right? So map out a route, get some money in your pockets, just to if it makes you feel better, that's what matters, But yeah, so we've got an escape route, we've got money, we've got food, we've got weapons, ready to, and again, just being prepared is the American way. I'm not saying you need to do it. Just saying if it makes you feel better, get prepared. But I think we'll be okay. Honestly, I know it sounds negative, but it's not. It's just real life. But yeah, this is going to be a great weekend. I want to get some more informative episodes to you guys. I want to make you laugh. So Saturday's episode, we might do a bit more of a comedic special. So stay tuned for that. I love you guys. God bless our troops. God bless America. Thank you, and good night.